We're in our third week of self-isolation, and you've been staying in your apartment by yourself for this period. You've gone on walks, and my mother is still delivering groceries to you weekly. Have you ever been in a situation similar to this before?
Well, actually, I have been. Unfortunately, in 1944, when the Germans occupied Hungary, me being a Jew, we were persecuted. We had to first leave our homes and move into a ghetto, but that was not safe after a while. And fortunately for our survival, we were absolutely fortunate that with the help of an uncle of mine, which is another time story, helped us, most of my family, to go into hiding in a nunnery. This nunnery was run by what they called the Grey Nuns, which are part of the Catholic, the Franciscan priests, and they had a house outside of Buda, and he managed, my uncle, to get all of us, and I'll tell you how many people, into hiding in their house in the attic. And we were hidden there for 6 months, and we had to be very, very quiet. Nobody was able to know that we were there in a very small area. It's approximately, I would say now, about 500 square feet, with three of my grandparents, a couple of my uncles, a couple of my aunts, a cousin, and a couple of other people that were related to us, but I'll be honest, I don't remember how they were related. And also my mother with my brother and myself. And that was an absolutely hidden, quiet place.
So, did you have a kitchen, a bathroom? What kind of things were in the attic?
We, the only thing that was in this big room was about two, I'm trying to think, there were, I think, 4 or 5 beds that my grandparents and my older uncles and aunts slept in and pretty well stayed all day as well in there. And us younger people, like my mother was only at the time 40 or 41 years old, we had straw mattresses that were under the beds during the day, and at night we pulled those out to sleep on. And the only thing that was in this particular room was one sink. We could use the sink to drink water or to wash ourselves, and even to go to a toilet. It was in another area of the attic where we could only go in, mostly at night when it was quiet in the house.
Did you have toys or anything? What did you do all day?
Well, we had absolutely nothing. This is where I learned to play solitaire and cards, and to this day, and even now, many times I'll just play solitaire to entertain myself.
And now you play on your iPad.
I do play on my iPad, and the only and food was the only thing that we really worried about.
How did you get it?
Well, first, the nuns that were occupying most of the house, they did bring us every once in a while that when they had enough food to, to us. But we also had some people that used to be in peacetime our maids and people that worked for my father's business, that they took chances of bringing food to the house, and then the nuns would try to get it up to us, and that usually happened in the dark of the night.
Did you get to see any of those people?
No, we didn't get to see them. They just left the food there, and the nuns would bring it to us because it was very dangerous for them. Because if they would have been found that they're helping us, they would have been either killed or also sent to a concentration camp. And that was absolutely horrible.
Well, it sounds like the people who helped you had a similar role to the frontline workers working during COVID-19, including community members who are helping by delivering groceries to neighbors who can't get it themselves. If you had been too noisy, what would have happened to you, the people you helped, and the other people that they helped as well?
Well, we could have been all either shot right there and then, or we could have been taken to a concentration camp where not we would not have survived.
Now, 6 months is a long time to have not been in school, and I'm sure at the time you didn't know that it was going to be 6 months or if it was going to be longer. How concerned were you about education at that time?
We were not concerned at all. The only thing we were concerned about was survival. And the only way we could survive of keeping quiet, keeping to ourselves, and hope for these people that helped us in a way to keep us with food. And that was our main worry. And we didn't even think anything than just for survival. The same way as today, the most important thing is to isolate and to keep to ourselves in order for this terrible virus not to attack us, and hopefully pretty soon we'll all be able to go out again.
Now, I'm sure there were also economic stresses or possibly that feeling of obligation for your parents or other family members to continue working. What did people think about their careers at that point?
Well, unfortunately, the war situation is so different in that respect because here we have wonderful, wonderful government that helps us and help the people that really and truly need it. And money became a very unimportant subject. All wanted is somehow to survive. And today too, it shouldn't be the main focus on who is going to have what, but we should be able to survive and life will be good again. And there is always a chance of making a living or having an opportunity to study, just like I had once I came to Canada. And for many years, even during that period of time of my life, uh, number one was not my education necessarily, but first to survive and be in a safe, good place.
So, would you agree that now, because the government's offering so many wonderful supports, that people should take advantage of them instead of looking for loopholes to continue working when they're not essential workers?
Absolutely.
What about missing out on your social life and hobbies that were impossible to maintain in the attic? What did you do about that? Were you concerned about your lack of friendships?
Honestly, not at all. Like, I remember I was just a little girl, really. I was 10 years old at the time. But I'm trying to think back of the time with my mother and my aunt, whose husbands were taken away because it was wartime, and they had absolutely no clue where their husbands were taken. Like my father, later on, we found out he was at a forced labor camp in at the border of Hungary, and at one time he survived by getting over to the Yugoslavian partisans, and they worried about survival more than anything else. It wasn't a question what's going to be, and they worried about to make sure that at least their children had enough food to make that period of time.
And how did you feel during this time period? Did you feel safe? Did you feel worried? Did you have anxiety?
Right? You mean right now?
I mean then. I mean in the 40s.
You know, a human being is very interesting. they can they can do an awful lot of things. I remember once my grandfather said something to me. Says, "Don't ever ask what you can endure, because you will be surprised how much terrible things a person can endure." And that is so true. we are still in a wonderful, wonderful country with lots of food available. And if all they ask from us to stay in our homes and be quiet and just try to survive this difficult, difficult period, that we are very, very.
I agree. I think people are naturally resilient and strong and have a will to survive and are compassionate by nature. And after your period of confinement during the Holocaust, you eventually made it to Canada, got married, had 2 children of your own, then 5 grandchildren, of which I'm one of, and 5 great grandchildren, of which I've given you 2. Um, and I know you've had a lovely, wonderful life since then, but I imagine you sometimes think about the 40s, especially when it was more recent. And were there lasting impacts for you on your mental health or your worries?
No, not the lasting impact. You think back at those times, and then you think back at what we managed to do afterwards. And I am only grateful that I did get to Canada and became, I would say, a good citizen, a good mother, grandmother, great grandmother, and all that is ahead of everybody who will now listen to the people that tell us what to do and have trust in them that we will all be okay.
I agree. I think this period is hard and we're making sacrifices that many of us have never made before. And you're in a unique situation to have been able to tell us that you've actually made many of these sacrifices and then some, because you're not as confined and hidden and have lack of supplies like you did at that time. And I'm sure we will all have healing to do as a nation and as a world after this. But what you're saying about being grateful and looking back to see how strong we were will be really helpful in healing when this is all over. And I just want to say I love you, and I'm hoping that by me staying home with my young children will help you stay safe as well as the rest of our family and the rest of our community on a whole global scale. I hope I can hug you soon, but if I have to wait, I can handle that. It's not easy, but I can handle it.
Good for you. And really and truly, you have to, I think back now that maybe people will learn that owning or having material things that everybody wants, but there should be a limit to it. It's not the most important thing. Friendship and family and helping each other and being there for other people is a very, very important thing. And Canadians, they can do that really well when they're put to the task. I'm proud of everybody.
Well, I'm proud of you, and I'm really glad we have FaceTime so that we can talk so often, and we can still see each other.
And that is so wonderful. I just wish I would know a little bit more about the new technology, but I try my best.
Well, I'll teach you when this is all over.
Okay.
Okay, I love you.
Love you, Dan.
Bye.